Well, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us today in this webinar about the ISO 50001 certification. Thank you very much. And let's wait a little bit more to see if everyone else is going to join, and then we start.
Hello, everyone. Thank you again for taking the time and signing up for the ISO 50001 webinar. Today, we do have a special guest with us joining. His name is John Swallow, and he's our partner over in the UK with Test Consulting. Just to give a brief introduction myself, my name is Karlo Blazek, and I've been involved with the sustainability industry for over 4 years now. I think closer to 5 actually, but it's a big passion of mine. I do love what I do, and having work that's also part of something that you believe in has a big moral integrity to it for myself. Okay, so to give you a little bit of background, I started in the solar PV industry, where the main goal was to help clients with their investments in order to get them to be fully, or sometimes even just like more self-sufficient. And of course, in return, also saving money along the way, right? So right now with Dexma, I'm the account executive here for the UK market. Okay, so here we focus on pushing the world to a more sustainable future. And we're doing this by using software with big data and AI to help companies basically comply with rules and regulations while also reaching their personal goals, all while saving along the way. Okay, so Daniel, can you give a brief introduction, and then John, you can do this so as well afterwards.
Sure, thank you, Carlo. Well, I am Daniel Spence, take over the international department for Dexma. That means APAC, Middle East, Eastern Europe, Nordics, and North America. I've been 2 years working in the energy sector, concretely in the EV sector. And I gotta say, it's a pleasure not only grow alongside this market, but also to contribute to the well-being of future generations. So, John, if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure. Thank you, Carlo. Thank you, Daniel. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm John Swallow, and I'm the Director of Test Consulting. Test was created to help businesses on their journey towards better energy management, carbon and cost reduction, as well as setting out their pathway to net zero. As an electrical engineer by profession, I have a good understanding of infrastructures, having spent time commissioning intelligent buildings, specializing in the design of system architecture, and having some 20+ years of working in the energy sector. We have created a framework that has successfully delivered compliant ISO 50001 energy management systems to our clients over the last 5 years now, and we are qualified as both internal and lead auditors for the standard. We are part of BSI's Associate Consultant Program and are also lead auditors in ISO 14001 for our environmental and management systems, PAS 2080 and 2060 for carbon neutrality, and ISO 14064 for greenhouse gas emissions. Our mission is simple: to provide the best digitalized energy and carbon reduction systems that we can, create the right landscape for change, and map out the future benefits for your business. Be this for reduction of cost, carbon, or compliance, with the key ethos of optimizing energy through innovation.
Perfect, John. Thank you so much for joining us on the webinar today. Okay, so just to talk a little bit about climate change, as I'm sure most of you are aware, it's becoming more and more of a problem for the world, and this is the statistics of the annual average temperatures that we've seen across the globe from 1850 to 2019 right now. Okay, so as you can see on the right hand side there, temperatures have just spiked up quite a bit. So this is affecting a lot of things, and anything that we can do along the way to help this out is beneficial. Okay, so just to keep that in mind. Our mission here, just to give you guys a little bit of an idea that you don't know, basically our mission here at Dexmo is to help people and organizations basically understand and optimize their energy use. Okay, so we have 3 products that help us do this. Okay, the first one being Dexma Detect, okay, which is used for basically detecting where your potential savings could be. And the second one being the main product, which is Dexma Analyze, which is real-time energy intelligence. You can monitor it for various different parameters with this one, as well as analyze and verify the data. All right. The last product that we have is Dexma Optimize, which is our automated 24/7 energy management service powered by AI. And here you will see just some statistics about us, right? So we're serving over 6,000 organizations. We have over 100,000 high-frequency data locations worldwide, over 150 partners, and roughly 500,000 readings collected every 15 minutes. Okay. The top industry sectors are the ones that you see there on the screen, and the fastest growing sectors being banking and telecommunications. Now, what is ISO 50001? ISO 50001 is an internationally recognized standard which was developed to focus on energy management systems. It was released back in 2011 in Switzerland, with the second version being released in 2018. Okay, so just like all ISO standards, they are modeled almost identically. So the integration of new ISO standards can be easily implemented into the organization, of course, if you have certified for the previous ones. The beautiful thing about it is that no matter how large or small a company is or which industry it's in, with getting the ISO 50001, with introducing it into the organization, you will be able to benefit, actually have considerable benefits from that. Now, ISO 50001 is based on the management system model of continual improvement, also used for other well-known standards, as I'm sure you guys will know, such as ISO 9001, which is for quality, and ISO 14001, which is for environmental. This makes it easier, of course, for organizations, as I mentioned, to integrate energy management into their overall efforts to improve quality and environmental management, especially if you had previous ones implemented. Okay, so the ISO 50001 provides a framework of requirements for organizations to do so, basically develop a policy for more efficient use of energy, and can fix targets and objectives to meet the policy, and uses data to better understand and make decisions about energy use. Okay, of course, all the results are measured, and you can review how well the policy is working, and of course, you have continual improvement of the energy management. Now, here we see some statistics of basically a comparison between ISO 9001 certificates and ISO 50001 certificates, and the numbers are quite different. Of course, you know, they did not come out at the same time, so we still have a lot of more room to grow and get more certificates. But predominantly, we're seeing, of course, it's implemented all across the world, but we're seeing the biggest numbers in Europe as well as Asia so far. But this is just to show the potential of, you know, where it's going in the future. Okay. Now, in terms of the stakeholders, so many stakeholders need to be involved in the project in order to make this work. You will need a lot of departments and, of course, parts of the organization coming together in order to make it work, internal as well as external. Okay, so employees wanting to be more sustainable, of course, management team has to be involved. And without the management being involved, it would be a hard push as well, because it's not a mandatory certification as of yet. And of course, we have our different departments such as energy, maintenance, sustainability, and facility management. So all of them need to be involved in order to make this work. And of course, then you have external as well, such as our energy consultants, such as our friend here, John, our partner. They play a big role. And of course, you have as well the energy management software, such as us, that will help smooth things along the way and make it much quicker. You can also have external involvement, for example, with investors. You know, let's say they're being conscious about, you know, investing money in a company or in an organization that is focused on being more sustainable. You know, this will affect the path along the way. So being certified will help out with getting on that right path of sustainability. savings as well, as then also getting on the right path for a better future. Okay, so John, I'll just leave it off to you. Thank you for taking the time again to be with us here today. So all to you.
Thanks, Karlo. It's a pleasure. So what do we need it for? The benefits from adopting ISO 50001 can be considerable and can provide an array of benefits, not only for energy savings, but here are just a few. From a compliance angle, it makes you communicate relevant information on legal aspects and other requirements to employees and all interested parties, benefiting the business by allowing adequate time to address any potential issues ahead of legislation changes. At a cost perspective, implementation of effective operational controls to manage your energy usage. This will save money and better energy management should help towards the mitigation of rising energy prices. From a perspective angle, demonstrating that you are an ethical and credible organization increases the likelihood of repeat business and even access to new markets. Reputationally, it shows that you are reducing your environmental impact and it is a priority and could be seen as a competitive advantage to grow your business further with these green credentials. And risk management leading to improved business and energy planning tools and a deeper understanding of where your business can improve. It is important to understand the language and tone of ISO 50001. Whilst we talk of CO2 reductions, it is a reduction of kilowatt hours that is the primary objective of this standard. However, energy saving and reducing kilowatt hours will undoubtedly reduce CO2. Next slide, please. A strategic approach to energy management is vital to satisfy the needs of stakeholders, compliance, and internal or external funding streams. Historically, energy management has been treated as a one-off project that will meet the business's return on investment criteria. As climate change is now driving legislation, public perception and supply chain decisions, then demonstrating a strategic approach to energy management has never been more important. This is reflected upon the uptake of ISO 50001 Energy Management System accreditations. It doesn't matter if your business is seeking the ISO gold standard or not. Energy management will play a large role in any business's journey to net zero, and this can be only done with a systematic approach and with a robust monitoring and measuring system. Compliance is often seen as the trigger for businesses to monitor their spend and report on emissions. Here in the UK, these are currently ESOS, Energy Saving Opportunity Scheme, and SECR, Streamlined Energy Carbon Reporting. These schemes, in one way or another, capture some 12,000 companies across the UK and either contain some form of carbon reporting and/or where energy savings could be made. Across the globe, there are different compliance pieces, such as the EU Energy Efficiency Directive, which is Europe's ESOS equivalent, for instance. ISO 50001, which is internationally recognised, will provide a solid framework from which your business will be able to see not only where energy is being used, it will allow you to analyse where you can reduce. This sounds a strange statement, but monitoring bills for spend is a whole lot different to measuring your use and knowing what is required to start to understand where you can reduce and save. Next slide, please. So what should you expect from your appointed energy consultant? A review of the business and its energy demands is required, and maybe some benchmarking to gain high-level understanding as a starting point. If a company has already performed ESOS and/or SECR per se, then you will also be able to assess those reports and disclosures to find the company's position on what measures have been deployed and what has been of use to them and where any energy blockers might be. Key stakeholder engagement is imperative, and this is a major departure from mere compliance to building a lasting energy management system. Company-wide communication is also required to ensure behavioural change is embedded as an integral part of the process. Other standards that the company may have may also help. These are typically 9,000, 14,000 or 45,000. This is because the high-level structure is now applied across these standards, so the likes of legal registers, for instance, are easily adapted. Activities for raising awareness include building an energy team, training for energy-related internal audits, and energy events such as energy kaizens, which may look in detail around where technology may be considered. Providing guidance around such things as standard operating procedures that have energy reduction impacts. These could be for the startup of energy-intensive equipment that might have been identified as a significant energy user. When it comes to internal audits, then again, some standards may also provide procedural benefits. So your energy consultant would assist in providing energy intelligence, knowledge, and experience to ensure those audits have specific benefits to the business in question. Next slide, please. So again, with other standards, corrective action logging will already exist. So we would need to add advice and awareness to what to look for in the technical part of the standard and how to potentially review and reset EMPIs in line with increased energy information and all-round awareness. Strategies around data collection and deeper dives in this information to identify correct significant energy users that may require to be monitored for better decision making and data-driven decisions. Setting up measurement and verification processes is a vital component and is at the heart of the ENMS. There may be the need for submetering in most instances, as utility metering and bills may not be enough to make significant energy reductions required when committing to an ENMS, and the continual improvement process is needed, not only to meet the standard, but also to keep it once you have it. Selection of a suitable benchmark and an energy performance indicator will differ from business to business. This could be widgets made per kilowatt hour used, number of people versus the energy used, or meters cubed of building per kilowatt hour, or something that is more specific to your business. In any case, the knowledge and experience should qualify the help you will need from your chosen energy consultant. For points 10 and 11, from our experience, this is where Dexma starts to become the pivotal tool to keep everything in check. Performance tracking becomes faster and more visual, with the reporting features of the system, and any projects deployed as part of the reduction methods would be tracked against investment and their predicted returns on investment. This would also highlight any tweaks that might be required to ensure peak performance. The selection of the energy team is key, and these members need to be carefully chosen and from different strategic parts of the business: finance, production, quality, and the senior management team. It will be their job to review the system's performance, and your energy consultant should steer this group to ensure optimal performance and create a challenge mentality. Next slide, please. The methodology of plan, do, check and act is a foundation of continual improvement and is adopted through all mandatory activities within all ISO standards, including ISO 50001. This systematic approach is what enables ISO 50001 to supersede energy compliance and provide a legitimate mechanism for becoming carbon neutral, and also within a net zero strategy for scopes 1 and 2 emissions. The constant measurement layer to understand your baseline, where you are, is part of plan. Opportunities, what energy you can be saved, is also a plan. And to verify the results, what energy you saved, is do and check. And publish the results. This is what you've achieved this year, which is act. It is vitally important with any energy management project or energy management system. There are two parts to the ISO implementation, and these are made up of both management and technical elements. I will deal with these individually, starting with the management of the system. Planning elements of the management layer include writing an energy policy, befitting of the company's objectives, setting of energy goals and potential targets. These will change with exposure and information when performing reviews. The do layer will typically involve training, energy awareness, internal auditors, and peripheral resources that are required to meet the standard. Communication is always part of this section and is all of the required documents needed to comply with ISO 50001. Check specifically looks at corrective and preventative actions, such as anomalies, backup processes and procedures needed to ensure the integrity of the system. Internal audit should also make up part of this section, and follows the principle of guaranteeing optimal performance. ACT is primarily the management review, where a company might decide to change any of the system outputs, such as annual energy review, and may include any learnings over the year. The technical elements. Planning elements within the technical section of the standard will typically include understanding and setting the energy baseline information and what your EMPI might look like for your particular business and its requirements. This will involve looking at what your energy purchasing criteria will be, both for procurement of energy and equipment that you might buy during your reduction phase, design of the system, and any operational controls that will also significantly affect performance and reduction techniques. Check. This will deal with the system attributes such as monitoring. This could be for the identification and performance of significant energy users and baseline setting. Measurement is also part of this, and again becomes a fundamental principle of the standard and is the barometer of its success. ACT. This will deal with the creation of effectiveness of the ENMS when dealing with the energy performance, which will lead to the energy performance indicator review, where pivotal decisions are made based on the ability and availability of quality information and key inputs from the energy team, key stakeholder decisions, and your external energy advising team. The need for a robust data collection, data analytics, and reporting is why we've partnered with Dexma to ensure an easier transition from the mentality of just meeting compliance to taking control of your energy and applying a strategy towards a net zero future. Over to you now, Daniel.
All right, thank you, John, for explaining everything to us. Well, as John and Carlo already explained, I'm gonna take over this part, and we are gonna explain a little bit the action framework. So where does an energy management system take place in the ISO 50001? Well, regarding the action framework, we have 3 different processes. We have operational, we have evaluation, and we have improvement. The key role of an EMS in the operational part is the control. An EMS is able to manage huge amount of data constantly changing in real time. It allows you to manage information that human beings are not able to process. As William Pollard said, information is a source of learning, but unless it is organized, processed, and available to the right people in a format for decision making, it is a burden, not a benefit. We can have as much information as possible, but if we don't do anything with it, it is worthless. And because of this, the EMS will monitor every data coming from every single meter and submeter in the buildings. We'll send you the reports in a weekly, in a monthly basis, either for legal requirements or for internal reviews to take action. Once we have all the data, the information, the insights, and verify it, we will proceed to the improvement of this data. Like, for example, by analyzing it and taking the right action plans to tackle the weaknesses. Now, so far we've seen where an EMS and energy management system take place in the ISO 50001. Now, how's the Dexma role in this? Well, we have several processes. We have the data input, analysis, monitoring, and results. Let's start with the first one, shall we? We have the data input. We gather all the information you allow us to gather from your main meters, submeters, and gateways from your different locations or sub-locations, buildings, etc. With this information, you'll be able to check your energy consumption in a weekly, monthly, yearly basis, or even daily basis. You will see how your energy is organized all across your organization. You will define your energy KPIs, so dashboards will compare your actual consumption with the baseline. This also will take us to the analytical part, which is the next step, where our software, Dexma software, the platform, will monitor in real time all the data and information. It will follow up with the consumption, the KPIs you scheduled initially, and it will put all this information into different documents, into different reports, for example. You will be able to download a benchmark that will be created and designed specially for you. so you can compare it with the market, the industry, and also other buildings. Well, it is not enough to analyze data, as we all explained before. We have to work a little bit more on this, right? So let's jump into the monitoring part. No one is on the office on the weekend, right? We work mainly from Monday to Friday. But what happens if there is an emergency or a problem? You will not know until it's Monday morning, unless you have an anomaly detector software, which means that you have an alert program. Well, that is possible with Dexma, with our software. We will send you alerts directly so you can be 24/7 aware of everything. Not only this, but you will be able to forecast your energy consumption and design your own KPIs regarding this. All these processes take us to the last part, which is the result. You will be able to download reports with every single insight and information you need. Legal reports, operational reports, energy reports, budget reports, etc. This part will do everything to improve your future savings and will make your company not only more efficient, but it'll make you save huge amount of costs. Now, I'm gonna walk you through the Dexma platform. We're gonna explain you briefly how you could use the Dexma platform so you can gather all the insights and features. All right, so this is gonna be the first thing we're gonna see in the Dexma software, right? So as my colleague Carlo explained before, we have different products. We have detect, we have analyze, and we have optimize. Let's start with detect. All right, it's taking a little bit. All right, we have it right in front of us. So detect is gonna, as you can see here displayed, is gonna allow us to take a look at the most representative buildings across our corporation. So in our whole corporation, the average of the node, the grade that we gave to this corporation is 65 out of 100, which is relatively sustainable, right? We have here 21% is the benchmark savings compared to the most similar efficient buildings in this sector. So, and you have here also the ratio in euros, 3 million, more than 3 million in potential savings. Here we can take a look at the top locations in top 5, the regional 2, which 61% savings. You can see here different dashboards, different graphs that you can gather all the insights and information you want. And here we have this table, which allows us to see the locations, right? And the score. So if we click on score, it's gonna filter us from the least sustainable buildings to the most sustainable buildings. This one being 100%, this one being 7%. And of course, as I said before, you can download every single data and information you see on the platform. Then we'll move and jump into analyze, which is kind of the key product of Dexma. You can see here a display of the map where you have all the offices, the locations of this corporation. Now, if you want to see the hierarchy of this corporation, you will click on settings. Well, I just realized it's in Spanish. Let me switch it. Well, it's in English. Here you have all the locations with the sub-locations. But if you want to take a look at it in a prettier way, we'll see the hierarchy tree here, where you have the different countries, Canada, Europe, and USA. You have main buildings, Miami, Boston, or in Europe, you have France, and then you have the Paris building, the office building, and within the Paris building, you have the whole department, you have different sub-locations. And all of this, you can play with it. You can make it belong to Europe, you can make it belong to Canada, etc. We go back to analyze part. We're gonna start seeing the office of Stuttgart. So for that, we'll go to measurement and verification. We have here all the different projects that are going to be displayed. So let's check, for example, the office in Barcelona Energy Management. So as you can see here, you have the total target savings, which is 30%, and you also have it measured in kilowatts hour. So you can also here have the graphs, daily, weekly, or monthly. If we click monthly, that's how the electricity in kilowatt hour is going to be measured. Now you can also customize it depending on the days, the quarter you want to check it. If you go down, you'll see the accumulated real versus the reference consumption regarding the electricity. If you go down, you'll see the comparison against the reference, against the baseline, or against the most representative buildings. And also you can see the comparison against the target, against the KPIs you've already settled before. Here you have the automatic baseline calculator. Let's give this a moment to charge. Here we go. All right, so we're gonna take an example of the Stuttgart building, okay? We're gonna add an external weather, right? A virtual weather station parameter. And we're gonna go down and we're gonna calculate the baseline of the Stuttgart offices. All right, as you can see here, you can compare the software already created and calculated with all the data gathered from the meters of meters and everything, all the information in this calculated different graphs for you to have and to download. So first one, you have the baseline versus the real consumption, and you have more things. You have the accumulated error, you have the accumulated error in percentage. You will have every single insight and every single information that your company might need in order to start saving costs. Now, we can move to the report part. As I said before, explaining the ISO 50001 regarding the Dexma and how is the role in connection with an EMS, the report is going to be useful not only for economic purposes, but also for legal purposes. So we have here different reports, right? Electrical bill, HVAC, water, simulation. So let's check here in the new reports. So if we want to create a new report, you're going to have different kind of templates in the software. For example, you have basic energy devices, custom energy, HVAC regression. You have these reports here that are already existing templates, but you can also upload new and your own reports. For example, you have here electrical bill simulation, how much the forecast on expenditure regarding electricity you're going to have in the next quarter or the next month. Gotta say also, if we move to this dashboard part, the dashboards are highly flexible widgets that are easily, there are highly flexible widgets to easily get a global overview of the energy management project for different stakeholders, let's say financial, technical, sustainability, and also these maps, as I showed you initially, compares you the sites by using different standard and customized energy performance indicators, which is called NPs, like surface, degree days, or occupations. Lastly, if we go to alerts, here we will have already displayed alerts in the past. For that, I would like to move into the last product, which is called Optimize. here, Optimize will basically show you the anomalies or the alerts that you've been having during weekdays or during weekends, or both at the same time. So you're always going to be aware of every single problem that you might have in the building. Let's, for example, say that someone left a window open on a Friday night and your consumption on air conditioning went up. But for that probably is not an anomaly, right? It's probably normal because someone left the window open. So that you can cancel that as an anomaly. Let's check, for example, this one, Stuttgart total consumption, which had a high impact. All right, as we can see here, we have that the economic impact that this had was 37.58 euros. All right, so here we have other anomalies, this rose line, but we have here the main anomaly, Friday the 12th. So now, imagine, as I told you before, that you don't recognize this an anomaly, that this is an unusual thing because there was a Christmas dinner party or something special, an event that made this happen. So you can come here and click, this is not an anomaly. And the system will recognize this as it is not an anomaly. And you can have here all the different details of this. So this will help you to save a ton of energy and a ton of money also, because you will know exactly when and where this happened. Now, if we go to settings, we will have in the gateways part the different kind of gateways we work with in order to start sending data or explaining the data integration, right? We have all of these different gateways. We work with more than 500 integrations. We use weather data using our online weather services. And also we use other businesses or production data, like for example, generic FTP, email, API, virtual, or gateways, as I'm explaining right now. These are the different data sources we have, and you can select which one suits you the best, depending on this. Well, this is pretty much a really brief introduction to the Dexma platform. And now I would like to move forward to the Q&A part of the webinar. So if everyone has any questions, please feel free to write it on the chat. All right, so we're now in the Q&A part, and so far I've seen a couple of questions. I'll go through the first one. David says, I manage 150 properties in Germany, and I need to get my ISO 50001 certification ready by the end of 2022 to get access to some incentive mechanism. My buildings are equipped with different metering systems, including BMS systems and some smart meters. Can Dexma help with that? Well, thank you, David, for the questions, and thank you for attending the webinar. Gotta tell you that our platform is compatible with more than 500 energy data sources, including BMSs, meters, and sensors. And in Dexma, we can do a first review of your project needs and help you to identify the best solution to put all your information together. And also, I gotta tell you, David, if needed, we can put you in touch with one of our partners, like Test Consulting, in this case, with John, and in your region to help you with the project project setup.
Okay, perfect. Another question here that we got, I'll just read it out. So basically, my project involves not only electricity, but gas as well as district heating and some solar power installations. Can Dexma deal with this energy sources? Okay, so thank you for the question. Also, thanks for attending that webinar. But yes, it can manage several energy sources, including the ones that you mentioned. Now, for different energy sources, different carbon emissions and primary energy factors can be defined. Okay, so Dexma includes ad hoc functionalities for solar projects specifically. You asked that with specific project reporting tools and visualization screens to evaluate the performance and, of course, the ratio of solar self-consumption. Now, our partners like Test Consulting can help you in designing the metering plan, of course, and the ISO 50001 implementation. So that's something to look for. And let's see here. Okay, this is a very good question. It's been coming quite a lot. John, if you don't mind taking this one. Basically, they're asking, would ISO 50001 ever become a mandatory requirement?
Yeah, that is a good question. In terms of basically maybe integrating with other requirements, say for instance carbon neutrality or a net zero program, it potentially might become part of the solution. I think the key is here that it's not mandatory at all to do ISO 50001. However, what we're seeing is an uptake in businesses wanting to ensure that their credentials are the best that they possibly can be. It's interesting that when you've shown the deck earlier on, finance came out, banks came out as kind of like the lead when it came to ISO 50001. It's quite interesting that there are other things going on, like the task force for climate related disclosures, for instance, which are potentially pushing those types of companies, banks, institutes down the path of potentially doing environmental, social and governance work as an output for them as a business. So I think as part of an integrated strategy, it would become potentially mandatory, but as a standalone requirement, no. But it's interesting also as well in the UK here. We've got ESOS Phase 4, which is under consultation. It looks like there's going to be some rationalisation towards some of the elements of ISO 50001, which will mean that our lead auditors will need to be more qualified, and so companies will be wanting the best probable advice that they can get. The other interesting thing as well that you mentioned was Germany's uptake on 50K. That's primarily because it's kind of assisted out there. So there is some governmental money, which might be replicated across other countries as well, but we shall have to wait and see. It'd be great if that happened, but that's a great question.
Thank you, John. Thank you for answering that. And of course, we do have to end the webinar, so feel free to reach out. Of course, with more questions, you see all our contact details there on the screen. Of course, John, if you're in the UK, reach out to Daniel. For any other country, of course, and you can just email all of us. We'll point you in the right direction. We'll do the best we can to help you out and answer all the questions. So again, John, thank you so much for joining today, and I hope you guys enjoyed and got some good information out of the webinar. As I mentioned, feel free to reach out whenever, and we'll do our best to give you some answers.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, John. You have a good one. Goodbye, everyone.
I hope you really gathered really good insights about the software, and hope you enjoyed it. And looking forward to to learn more about Yule if you're interested. Have a good day.